Hello my sweet friends and welcome to DIY with Nadia. Today is another Wreath Wednesday and I have 3 wreaths for you, super simple and easy. 2 of them are for Valentine's and 1 of them is for spring. Let's get started. The base for this wreath is going to be this foam heart from the Dollar Tree, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut off that middle little heart. We don't need it, but I am going to leave that little loop on top because that is what's going to hang our wreath. Next, I'm going to grab this baby breath and I'm just going to cut off the tips. It is up to you if you want to leave it in those little bundles. In some instances, I cut off the greenery and the bundles. It's just up to you. Now we're going to start hot gluing our baby breath to the heart. We're going to start in that middle tip, work our way around and to the bottom. We're going to make it look like the baby breath is laid out, cascading from that top center all the way around and to the bottom. In the beginning, I'm just hot gluing one on top of each other, really not filling anything in. And then towards the end, that is when I started to cut off my baby breath a little closer to the white and then just inserting it into the little holes and filling it in all around the heart. For the ribbon, I'm going to use this buffalo check gingham ribbon. And I'm just going to make a simple bow. I made sure that my tails were longer than the edges of the heart because I wanted to have the tails go over the heart a little bit. Then I just hot glue in the middle and then use the second little piece and hot glued it over the center of the bow. The contrast of the black and white looked really good on that hot pink and the white. It toned it down a little bit. It brought a little bit of farmhouse in, and I'm not using too many colors. Black is the third color in this project, and it just gives it such a beautiful elegance. For the center of the bow, I decided to hot glue a little pearl sticker, and then for the bow tails, I just cut them on an angle on both sides. Today, I'm collaborating with a very talented friend of mine. Her name is Fanny, and her channel name is Creations by Favi. Please check her out if you love gorgeous, super simple, and easy farmhouse DIYs. Her channel will be in the description box below and at the end of this video. For this wreath, we are going to need these Amaranth bundles from the Dollar Tree, and I used 2 bushels of white and 1 lilac. The wreath form I'm using for this project is fairly new to the Dollar Tree. It is made up out of thin, flexible bamboo pieces that are just laid out in a circle and brought together by a jute cord. These amaranthus bushels do come with 6 pieces of those white bundles, but the thing is, I wanted to make sure that mine were kind of just long and not too deformed. So that is why I used 2 bushels, but you can definitely use 1 if you want. I was just picking out the straighter ones, so I used 2 bushels to do that. You will need 6 of the white and 2 of the lilac. I'm laying out my stems. First is going to be 3 of the white on each side, and then a lilac one is going to go over. I'm not cutting the endings of my little stems because when we put a wire over that middle, that is what's going to hold those little stems in place. I'm overlapping both sides in the middle, and then I'm going to use a floral wire. Here's one from the Dollar Tree, but I did have some of these brown ones that I'm going to recycle because the wreath is brown and I thought it would be good and less noticeable on the back. So at least for the middle part, I'm going to be using the brown. Just bringing it together and tightly attaching the white. Now I'm adding the little lilacs and I'm going to also attach it in the middle. Now I'm just laying out my branches how I want them to stay in place. And then using a little wire, I'm going to wire it to the wreath. If you're worried that any of the wire is going to show, we're going to fix that towards the end of making this wreath. Now I'm just twisting and tying that piece of wire to the back of the wreath. For the bow, I will be using this beautiful farmhouse ribbon that I just got at the Dollar Tree. And the first thing I'm doing is making sure that it's long enough. I wanted the tail to be long because the wreath is kind of thin and simple. You needed something to fill that middle portion of the wreath. And so I decided to make sure that my tails of the bow are going to be quite long. And then I'm just making a simple bow. I did decide to make a 6-loop bow, and then just brought the bow together with a little piece of wire. Grabbing another piece of wire, I'm attaching the bow to the wreath and then just cutting my little tails on an angle. Now I'm taking those leftover branches and I'm cutting off pieces of the berries. Then I decided to hot glue some purple pieces to the middle of the bow. And then anywhere where I felt like that wire was showing, I'm grabbing pieces of white or lilac berries and I'm just hot gluing them over the wire. That way our wire is hidden and our wreath looks absolutely stunning and perfect. For this project, I will be using a 9-inch willow wreath, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a coat of white chalk paint, and I'm using the Rust-Oleum in linen white, and I'm going to set it aside to dry for a few hours. Next, I'm grabbing 2 bushels of the Amaranthus florals from the Dollar Tree. I'm only going to be using the white ones, taking them off the stem. For this wreath, I am going to be cutting those ends off, and I'm going to be cutting them off as close to the white as possible. Next, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be hot gluing these branches. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just going along the lines of the actual wreath, and starting from the inside, working my way out. And basically what I'm doing here is making it look like this wreath was put together along with these branches. So I'm just following the twists of the wreath and hot gluing the branches, going around and around. If I was using this wreath somewhere in a wedding, I would just leave it as is. But this is a Valentine's wreath. So I decided to grab these vase fillers, and I'm going to be using just the pink ones and the white ones because I wanted to keep it elegant and sweet. So all I'm doing is just grabbing different sizes of the pink and the white and hot gluing it all around the wreath. For the finishing touch of this wreath, I will be using this boa that I got at the Dollar Tree during Halloween. And I'm just going to take these feathers and using just the soft areas, I'm going to cut the feather into about 1 to 2 inch pieces. And then I'm going to be using little tweezers and just folding the little piece in half, putting some hot glue on it and just sticking it throughout the wreath. And I'm just going to be going all around the wreath and filling up little empty areas in between the branches of the wreath. This gave the wreath such an elegant look, and I feel like in person it just looks so complete and beautiful. I don't think it shows like that on camera, but I promise you guys, in person, it looks absolutely stunning and it looks like it does not need anything else. And that is it for today's Wreath Wednesday. Let me know down below which wreath was your favorite. Don't forget to visit Creations by Favi. I will link her channel down below and right here. And if you love Dollar Tree DIYs, trash to treasure, wreaths, this may be the channel for you. Please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys. Mwah!